There was a time I almost got kidnapped by the ice cream man. You know, the guy who would sell ice cream to little kids back in the day. I was at the park with a group of friends and we saw the ice cream truck. It was summer, so the heat was excessively hot, and the ice cream was what everyone was craving, especially during the hot season summer. The ice cream truck echoed through the park. When he parked beside the fence, all the kids and I ran to the ice cream truck and bought our ice cream. I ended up getting mint chocolate chip ice cream and paid the man the only dollar I had before the ice cream truck guy drove away. We all then went back to playing, and my parents were sitting at the benches right next to the park, watching us all have fun. After a couple of hours, the sunlight began to go away and the night began to arrive. Everyone began to leave and go home because it was almost time for the street lights to come on. My parents were sitting over there by the swing set talking to my little brother, and I was by the fence throwing the football with my friend Zach before he had to leave as well. It was now pitch black at this time, besides the street lights that were flickering on and off, and my parents and all of us were ready to leave because you know that feeling you get when the mosquitoes start to come out and start biting you and attacking you? When I began to follow my mom to the car, I heard the ice cream truck guy. He was blasting us loud ice cream music, and he was out when it was dark. Now, this was weird because the ice cream truck would always come during the day, never at night. My parents could sense something was off and they told us to get in the vehicle. My dad, he left his jacket on the bench, at least he thought, and I tried to help him find it. He told me to get back into the car, but I didn't listen, and I tried to help my dad. I ended up going to the ice cream truck by the fence where he was parked. I wasn't paying attention, my self awareness was not with me. My dad then yelled at me and told me to run. I looked back and I saw the ice cream man was now outside his vehicle and he was right beside me. He kept trying to offer me free ice cream, but I heard my dad when he said run. With all my energy, I told the ice cream man no and I ran fast as I could towards my dad. My dad started telling me how I need to start listening and something bad could have happened. We then left and a few weeks later we came back to the park. This time we saw a group of police officers surrounding the ice cream truck. We saw the man from last time, he was getting arrested. It turned out he was going around kidnapping kids that would be outside when the streetlights would come on. And I was just happy that nothing bad happened to me. Now every time I see an ice cream truck driving by, I get the chills and always think back to this moment when I could have got kidnapped. I'm just happy that the ice cream man was caught, and the lesson from the story is you should always watch your surroundings because even little things like the ice cream man could turn out to be your worst nightmare. Growing up on the internet was a big part of my life. I was familiar with softwares and updates that would come up, and just learning about the internet in general was exciting for me. This all changed the day I learned about the dark web and how truly awful some spots of the internet can actually be. I was at school and one of my friends, Michael, who was into the same stuff as me, was telling me about how I should check out the dark web. I heard about the dark web, but I never actually did research or even been on there before. But my friend Michael said tonight that he would come over and we could explore the dark web together. After school, I downloaded a couple of softwares that I would need for the dark web, and me and Michael began to explore. The dark web was fascinating. I mean, it had everything you could imagine. It was also not traceable. We began to deep dive even more, and we saw a link that popped up on our computer, which was a live stream. Me and Michael wanted to see this live stream, so we clicked on it. When we got there, it was a countdown from 20 seconds before the live stream would start. We could see everyone commenting things like, "Let the massacre begin," and just a weird chat box. The video then played, and it was a live one. It was a guy and two females chained up, and a mask over their face, and the man had a mask as well. He kept holding up weapons, and the chat would say things like, weapons he should use on these innocent women. The man then grabbed a hammer and smashed the female hand. All I could hear was screams and just the pain from these females' voices. The chat box kept encouraging the man to keep going, and Michael and I tried to X off it. We tried to X off the video in general, but we couldn't. We wanted to call the police, but what would we tell the police? The video kept playing and the man grabbed the axe before smashing the female's heads in, and the video ended. I made a mistake by saying, "You sick bastard. Why would you?" This was the biggest mistake of my life. I then got a message that said, "Did you not enjoy the fun game?" I was scared and also pissed at the same time. I couldn't X off the website or even turn off my computer. It's like the person who was hosting the show was controlling my computer. They then said, "I know where you live. before Xing me off, and I completely had control after that. I then shut my computer off and X'd off the dark web, and I looked over at my friend Michael and said, "What was that? What did we just witness?" Not long after, my mom told me she was going to go with my dad to go get something to eat and that they would bring us something back. Instead of me trying to worry my family, I didn't tell them. An hour later, I opened my computer and began to search on the internet. That's when I got a message that popped up on my screen. "Are you home alone? Zach?" I was terrified at this point because how did the person know my name? I then heard a car door slam and looked outside my window and saw a white van parked outside my house. It was a group of men getting out of the van wearing all black. I then told Margaret to call the police, and the police said they would be there shortly. The man then came up to my door, and I could hear them say, "If I see you on the dark web again, I will end your life," before walking off and getting back into their van and driving away. The police showed up late, and the men were gone. I tried to tell the police everything, but I had no proof. The police had no way of accessing the dark web because it was deleted, even the messages. The police said if I heard anything to let them know, and that they would look into it, but it was non traceable. It was also not a safe website to go on. After that day, I have not been on the dark web ever since. I don't ever plan on going back there again. Just the simple fact that these people found out where I lived and knew my name was scary enough. I ended up buying a new computer and giving this one to the cop so they could try and investigate and see who these people were. So far, all I know is everything's been erased, and I hope I never see those guys ever again. I warn you, do not explore the dark web, even if it sounds entertaining for some things. If you explore too far, you will find darkness. Exploring the woods and going camping on the weekend used to be my hobby. I would always go camping and fishing with my family on the weekends. It was almost like a family tradition we did, and I loved it. When we got to the woods, it was daylight, and we would always explore before we would set up our tent. I saw a cave not far from where the lake was, which we ended up setting up at. Me and my younger brother, we would always explore caves and just random things we saw. We ended up exploring the cave a little bit. The cave was dark and had a lot of sewer water, but we kept going forward and we got to a dead end. I mean, there was a small hole you could climb through, but me and my brother didn't really feel like doing that. We then went to go explore the woods with my dad. We ended up finding a trail that led us to a cabin. We looked inside the cabinet, and it looked abandoned, with spider webs and just dirt everywhere. We figured there's no way someone was staying here, and it looked dirty and unkept for anyone to live here. Besides, the door was unlocked and the cabin looked creepy more than the house. We looked around the cabin and found a journal, which said, "If you find this, run. They're ruthless." Strange as it sounds. I showed my dad and he said it was best if we leave. We then went back to our camp and it was getting dark, so we gathered wood and sticks to make a fire and began to relax. The lake was in front of us, and we had a unique view. As the night went on, I began to hear rustling sounds in the woods right behind us. I told my dad and he told us to wait here. He grabbed his pocket knife and began to walk towards the sound. My dad then said, "Hey, who is it?" There was no response. My dad then kept walking towards the bushes. When he got closer, I heard footsteps and the man I saw from the campfire light ran right into the woods. My dad knew this place was not safe and we began to pack our things up and we started to walk back to the car. My dad asked if I saw the man, and I was scared, but I did. The man had a mask on, as I told my dad. This really freaked him out. We then got in the car and drove away. My dad then called the local police and had a search go out in the woods. But the only thing that was found was the note, and that was it. For the man who was in the bushes with the mask on, I'm not sure what he wanted. But I know one thing, if a person is covering up their identity, and for the most part, it's not a good sign. You should leave. For now, all I know is the man's never been found, and we haven't been back to that camp spot ever since. And we don't plan on going back anytime soon. You can never be too careful. You should always trust your gut, and leave if you start getting that weird feeling like something bad is about to happen. Working as a truck driver, you're on the road a lot, and have to make creepy forest areas your sleeping grounds. I've been with this company for a little over a year now, and if I'm being completely honest, I love my job. But there was a time when I thought about quitting truck driving for good, and this event still weighs on me. and I think about it every day I go to work. My shift was supposed to be over an hour ago, but due to the bad weather, I had to make a few more stops than I intended to. The weather was bad and my truck could not handle it, so I pulled over to the side of the road trying to wait out the bad storm. Hours had passed and the storm was getting much worse, and it was starting to get dark. I was 2 hours away from my hometown, and I called my dispatch to let them know that I might not be able to make it today. They said they understood and the weather was bad after all. I was used to being alone in bad weather, and I'd always pack lunch and extra food just in case of emergencies. The time was now 8 p.m., and I had to try and find a better spot to park my truck at so I could try and get some sleep. I ended up settling down at a forest area, and there was two trucks in the same area I was in, which was a known truck stop. I began to close my truck windows with my bed curtains and tried to get some sleep, because tomorrow was going to be a big day for me, and I needed my 8 hours of sleep. I began to lay in my bed and turned on my Netflix and watched that for a while until I got sleepy. Not long after, I was woke up to someone knocking at my truck door. It was a loud knock and it woke me up. I figured someone was maybe doing pranks and I didn't really feel like taking it seriously, so I went back to bed. A couple hours went by. I woke up and I had to go to the bathroom. I did not have a toilet inside my truck, so I had to go to the woods. It was dark and peaceful and quiet. After I got done going to the bathroom, I saw a light flashing at me inside the bushes. I went to the bushes and saw the light. Nobody there. But when I was walking towards my truck, I heard footsteps right behind me. I heard these footsteps only because the tree branches that were getting snapped. I could hear that. I then looked back and saw a man dressed in a clown costume. It wasn't Halloween for another 6 months, so I was kind of creeped out. And I said, "Not sure what type of game you're playing here, but I'll do it somewhere else." The man in the clown costume just looked at me and he had a terrified smile. He then said, "The game is run or die." The clown then pulled out a knife and started to chase me. I ran as fast as I could to my truck before unlocking it and turning it on and speeding out of there. I left that forest area. I wanted to call the police, but it was too late. I knew that the man would be gone if I did. I went to another gas station stop, not realizing that the clown guy was following me. I woke up in the middle of the night to hearing knocking at my door. I then looked outside and saw the clown from earlier. He looked at me and said, "I didn't say hide." Started to beat on my window trying to break in. I turned on my truck and left, and I kept driving, and I decided I would call the police just in case this guy was following me. I didn't care what time it was. I waited for the police to arrive. To my surprise, they did. I told the police about what all happened. They said that they would wait there and they would hide just in case he would come back. It's a good thing the police did because I thanked them. Not long after, the guy who was dressed up in a clown costume broke in my truck front window with a rock, which woke me up and he was soon arrested. The guy was a wanted criminal who was taking a lot of people's lives. I'm just happy I wasn't added to this man's list. The next morning, I drove out of there and I got my windows replaced. And I went back to my hometown. Now I only do big truck driving for big companies who need things delivered, and I keep a rifle inside of my truck for safety.